Hello and welcome to the first episode of Remember Them, which is a series I'm creating that looks back on the best forgotten sports teams and players. For this inaugural episode, I went back over 11 years to take a look at the 06-07 Ohio State men's basketball team. Specifically, how it was formed, their performance over the course of that season, and the ultimate career pathways taken by a few of the players. In the 05-06 season, the Florida Gators dominated college basketball, all the way to the championship. Led by their two towering sophomore centers, Al Horford and Joakim Noah, their defense and interior offense couldn't be matched by another team across the nation. After that season ended, the recruiting battle began for three marquee high schoolers. Out of Dunbar High School in Dayton, Ohio, Daquan Cook was the 14th ranked recruit of the 2005 class and the number 2 shooting guard. Cook was an electric guard who played above the rim, whose stellar senior season granted him a spot in the 2005 McDonald's All-American game, along with number 3 point guard Mike Conley and number 1 overall player and National Player of the Year Greg Oden. Cook was described by AAU teammate Mark Titus as the most exciting basketball player I've ever played with. Titus recounted a story on his One Shining podcast on the Ringer Network about how Cook showed up late to an AAU game because his senior prom was the night before. Right before tip, he got changed and went in the game, and on the first play, Mike Conley threw him an alley-oop pass for a dunk. The other two players I just mentioned, Conley and Oden, were the hottest basketball duo in the nation. They teamed up at Lawrence North High School in Indianapolis, Indiana, where they were both 4-year starters, leading the team to 3 state championships and a 103-7 combined record. They dominated their opponents, obliterating the traditional Indiana powerhouse schools year after year. Oden won National Boys Basketball Player of the Year in 2005 and 2006, joining LeBron James and Brandon Knight as the only repeat champions. Conley was a third-team All-American, ending the season as the 18th ranked player in the nation. Now these 3 stars might have played at 2 separate high schools in 2 different states, but they were still all connected. The 3 of them, along with NBA veterans Eric Gordon and Josh McRoberts, and podcaster/writer/columnist Mark Titus, were on the Spice Indiana Heat AAU team in the 2004 and 2005 summer seasons. Interestingly enough, the coach of that team was Mike Conley Sr., former NBA player and father to his now famous son of the same name. Conley Sr. acted as a mentor to the kids, teaching them how to handle recruitment and being national news. With 5-star players from 3 different classes and multiple game-changing athletes, this 2-year run was considered one of the best in AAU history. In the 2 seasons, the team lost a combined 4 games and won the Tournament of Champions in Las Vegas in 2005. Before that 2005 summer season started, Cook announced his intentions to play at Ohio State for the 2006 season, making his decision public on March 23, 2005. Conley and Oden made a joint announcement, choosing to declare on June 29, 2005. 4-star small forward David Lighty also joined Cook, Oden, and Conley in Columbus, and Othello Hunter, a 4-star power forward, transferred from JUCO school Hillsborough Community College. These 5 players gave coach Thad Matta a 4-star recruit or higher at all 5 positions, creating a lethal lineup. Heading into the season, the Buckeyes built themselves quite the rapport. Coming off of a 26-6 season, Matta and his assistants only improved, adding the nation's second-best recruiting class to an already successful roster. They garnered enough off-season hype to be ranked 7th in the preseason AP poll. Oden and Conley led the team to a very strong start, as they began the season 6-0, reaching the number 1 ranking in the 3rd week of the AP poll. And on November 29th, they played number 6 North Carolina in Chapel Hill as part of the ACC vs. Big Ten Challenge. The Tar Heels were 10 guys deep, with stars such as Ty Lawson, Wesley Matthews, Danny Green, Brandon Wright, and future National Player of the Year Tyler Hansbrough. Ohio State lost that game by 9, and a month later lost again on the road, this time to 4th-ranked Florida. The 26-point loss to the Gators is easily the largest defeat they would take that year. After that dominating performance by Florida, conference play began, and Ohio State started out strong, with impressive victories over Indiana and Illinois. On January 9th, they had their biggest game of the season, playing at number 4 Wisconsin in Madison. It was a battle between the two titans of the Big Ten, both vying to be considered the best in the Midwest. Ohio State's normal stars played to their abilities that game, but a 1-for-8 shooting performance from Daquan Cook weighed down an otherwise solid performance by the Buckeyes. With 10 minutes left, they were down 19 points, cutting it to 4 in the final minute before losing by 3 points to the 4th-ranked Badgers and their rowdy crowd. After the game, Coach Mata was quoted saying, "I like the fact that our guys fought back and put us in the position to have a chance to win the game. But we've got to find ways and be more consistent with our play and understand the value of every possession, and I think we can do that. We need to toughen up." With that motivating presser addressed to his team, the players responded. They won their next game against number 20 Tennessee, and that started a 12-game winning streak leading up to their rematch against the Badgers, this time in front of a sold-out Buckeye crowd. It was senior night in Columbus, and this game was the marquee matchup of the season, the first-ranked Ohio State squad going up against number 2 Wisconsin. This quickly became a classic Big Ten game, which means low scoring and great defense. The teams went back and forth, and with 7 seconds left, Ohio State inbounded it to Conley, down 48-47. Conley took it down the middle of the lane and dropped a soft shot off the rim and in, giving the Buckeyes a 1-point lead. Wisconsin tried an off-balance 15-footer for the win, but the senior guard Ron Lewis, in his last home game, swatted it away in dramatic fashion, giving Ohio State a great victory. Entering the Big Ten Conference Tournament, OSU was 27-3, ranked first in the country, and the favorite to win the tournament. They cruised to easy victories over Michigan and Purdue before facing Wisconsin for the rubber match of the 2007 season between the two teams. Conley led the way with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists, and Odin pegged a stat line of 12 points, 10 boards, and 4 blocks. Ohio State cruised to a 17-point victory, solidifying their position as the best team from the Big Ten heading into March. The Buckeyes were the number 2 overall team in the 2007 March Madness bracket and the number 1 seed in the South Division. They cruised to an easy victory over Central Connecticut State in the first round, but faced a hard-nosed Xavier team coached by Sean Miller in the round of 32. Xavier put up a fight, sending the game into overtime before Conley took over, and Ohio State won, 78-71. In the Sweet 16, Bruce Pearl's Tennessee squad gave the Buckeyes fits with their steady 3-point shooting. It was a one-possession game for the last minutes, but Ohio State eked out a 1-point win after Conley's free throws with 4 seconds left. They moved on to the Elite Eight, where they ran into John Calipari's Memphis team, the number 5 team in the country. Memphis had the perimeter defense to contain Conley and Cook, but Odin dominated the low post, and Ohio State won 92-76. Ohio State had made it to the Final Four, this being the second time they advanced that far in the tournament since 1968. They were facing the 2 seed from the East in the national semifinals, the number 8 overall team, the team led by future NBA players Jeff Green and Roy Hibbert, the Georgetown Hoyas. The Buckeyes were riding a 21-game winning streak heading into this game, and every basketball fan across the country was tuning in to see the battle of the 2 big men, Roy Hibbert and Greg Oden. Oden won the matchup, and Ohio State held their lead for most of the game, the final score being 67-60. And just like that, after a 22-game winning streak, Ohio State was 40 minutes away from being national champs. They were set to play the number 1 seed from the Midwest and the number 3 team in the country, the defending champion Florida Gators. Florida was still led by their pair of dominant big men, now juniors, Joakim Noah and Al Horford. Florida was looking to become the first school in NCAA history to win the NCAA basketball and football championships in the same season. and the Buckeyes were looking for their first college basketball championship since 1960, a 47-year drought. Coincidentally enough, earlier that year in the football BCS championship game, the number 2 Florida Gators defeated the top-ranked Buckeyes, so this game was a rematch between the two schools for a college title. Florida started off red hot, shooting 6 of 8 from 3 and scoring 40 points in the first half, but Odin had 11 points and 7 boards in the first 20 minutes, keeping the Florida lead at 11 at halftime. In the second half, Horford and Odin were trading buckets, ending with 18 and 25 points, respectively. Jamar Butler and Ivan Harris were trying to shoot the Buckeyes back into the game, but going 3 for 14 from 3 between the two of them did nothing to benefit the team. Florida kept control and won their second straight basketball championship and second NCAA title of the year, 84-75. Ohio State was the runner-up of the 2006-07 season, but they had a lot to be proud of. With a 35-4 record and a 15-1 conference record, Ohio State displayed their dominance to teams the entire season. They were also incredibly consistent and caught fire with a 22-game winning streak. After the season ended, Cook, Conley, and Odin all declared for the NBA draft. With the first pick of the 2007 NBA draft, the Portland Trail Blazers selected Greg Oden. 3 picks later, Conley was drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies. And later in the first round, Daquan Cook was chosen 21st by the Philadelphia 76ers. Oden was selected to be the NBA's next transcendent big man, reminiscent of legends such as Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, and Hakeem Olajuwon. But injuries plagued his career. Conley is a top-tier NBA point guard and is also paid like one, making $30 million a year on his current deal. Around the NBA, he's known as one of the best two-way point guards in the game. Daquan Cook bounced around the NBA for 6 seasons before heading overseas. He played in multiple EuroLeagues before moving to the Middle East, where he now plays for Ness Ziona in the Israeli League. Finally, Mark Titus created Club Trillion while at Ohio State and wrote an incredible book that I loved reading called Don't Put Me In, Coach: My Incredible NCAA Journey from the End of the Bench to the End of the Bench. He now works at The Ringer, writing columns and recording my favorite podcast, the One Shining Podcast, with Tate Frazier. I highly suggest you check them out. A question I got asked often while researching this team was this: why them? Well, to put it simply, I truly admired what this team did and the background of the guys on it. They didn't win the national championship, so they don't get the recognition they deserve. And the way this team was pieced together and the amount of talent on it was far too much to ever let this team be forgotten. And trust me, there is one member of this team that will never hesitate to bring up the success that they had. Just ask Mark Titus if he's ever been to a Final Four.